Hello, welcome back to Clash of the Rams, the sports talk show. I'm Jeremy Hayes here with Mike McMahon, Ryan Chevalier, and Eric Russo. All right, for this segment, we will have a rapid-fire round discussion of NBA. So I'm going to start with you, Eric. Who do you think is going to win the East?
Well, the East is one of the bad conferences of all time. It's a mess. It's a disaster. But if you have to pick one team, I'm going with Cleveland. Anybody with LeBron is a favorite to me. I know Atlanta's had a great year. They've been the best team, but I just don't have faith in them. I really don't. I think even if the Celtics play them in the first round, they could give them a run. I'm not confident in their chances at all. So I'm going with Cleveland. I'm going with LeBron, Kevin Love. I know they've had a little bit of a battle lately within the team, locker room problems, but when it comes down to it, when you get LeBron on the floor with those other two guys, Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love, I think they're the best team. They've really turned it on, I think, in the second half, even though they struggled a bit in the first half to get things going. But that's what happens with those super teams. It takes a little bit. But I'm going with Cleveland. I think they're the best team. I think they're the team to beat in the East.
All right, sure.
And the only thing with Cleveland, I would obviously pick them too because they're a powerhouse team. But they're almost a little, to me, prima donna, and that could come back to bite them in the playoffs. Just because the Hawks, they've been grinding. They're a team that no one even expected. So they have pulled off some really close wins this year. And overall, maybe they could pull it off, but I still think LeBron really separates the whole Eastern Conference. But the East, it's going to come down a wire, even with the Celtics, because you have now the Pacers getting Paul George back, and they're only a game out from the 8th seed. So hopefully we can hold on and at least make the playoffs, the Celtics.
Mike?
Yeah, well, I mean, I definitely think it's going to come down to those two teams. I don't think there's any way that I see it panning out where it won't be coming down to Cleveland or Atlanta, for the East. No 8 seed, it'd be great if the Celtics got in or the Pacers or something like that. But, like in the West where it's pretty stacked competition in the East, there's no way a 7 or an 8 seed is going to win a series. But if I had to say, I'm going with Atlanta, just kind of, like Chevy said, they kind of got the chip on their shoulder because they weren't expected to be there.
Yeah, I think it's Cleveland, Atlanta too, but I'm probably going to go with Cleveland, just a little bit of an edge over them. All right, as far as the West, Eric?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm going to go with the favorite, Golden State. They've had a great year. They won, 12 in a row or something recently, and Steph Curry's having a great year. They're 63 and 14, I don't know, something crazy. They're having a great year. I think they're the best team out of the West. I know they're young. I know they had a good year last year too, and they didn't go the way they wanted to, but I'm going with them. I think they've been the best team all the way through the year, and I think they'll be the best team going into the playoffs.
I'm going to go with a little bit of surprise here and say the Memphis Grizzlies. I really just like how they played all year, one of the top teams, and they've been building, and they always were a team that gave a lot of competition to teams that were top in the West, like Spurs and everyone. But now they have Conley and Jeff Green, and those just might be the scores they need to become a team that can win a championship.
Well, I mean, I'm going to go with what Russo said with the Warriors. They've been kind of the team to beat. An interesting stat on them is they've been averaging, they have a 10-point per game point differential so far, averaging. I think they're averaging like 10.2 points a game differential. Only 5 teams have done that in the history of the NBA, and 4 of them have won the championship come the end of the year. And the only team that didn't lost to a team who did, the Lakers, averaged like a 13-point per game differential, and I think it was the Bucks in 71-72 who averaged like 11 differential, and they ended up losing to the Lakers. So, I mean, if history goes to show you with that stat right there, the Warriors would be the team to beat, and Stephon Curry's just been undeniably amazing this year.
Yeah, I think the Warriors are the team to beat, but I think the only exception of them not winning is if they face the Spurs. I think the Spurs would just destroy them in a series. But if they can avoid the Spurs, I think no team can beat them. In the
Spurs
NBA.
did beat them
Yeah.
recently by double digits. So
yeah, and as far as MVP, I think Steph Curry should be the MVP. A lot of people have James Harden, but what do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, Curry's a great choice, but I think James Harden's the guy. He's averaging 27 points a game. He's just a beast. He's kind of the heart and soul of that Houston team. He had a 50-point game recently. I think it's really a toss-up between those guys, but I would go with Harden.
I'll go with Russell Westbrook because he's been on fire lately, and overall, I'll only pick them if the Thunder make the 8th seed or get into the playoffs. But his numbers, he's putting up 27 points a game, roughly 8 rebounds, 9 assists. We haven't seen this kind of production since Oscar Robertson almost, when he averaged a triple-double for a season. So with these numbers and Durant out, I mean, he's really just carrying that whole Thunder team.
I don't think you saw Oscar Robertson, but
I mean, yeah, Chevy's right. The triple doubles have been kind of insane from Westbrook. But I'm gonna go with what Russo said again. James Harden has really been pretty unbelievable here down the stretch. His 9th 40-point game the other night against OKC, which is the most since Michael Jordan did it back then. Which it's kind of high company to put somebody in with, but I mean that's remarkable. And in the competition that he's faced in the West, I think Harden's been really good out there, and he's one of the reasons why the Rockets are where they are.
Harden's the favorite, but I just gotta say before we wrap up that not past couple of years especially, whoever's the leader in scoring doesn't necessarily win the MVP. So I think it's gonna be interesting if they see the unbelievable year James Harden's having and they take his points per game into consideration and say this is an unbelievable feat. But I mean, we're gonna have to see how they vote it. All right, so that's it for NBA. We're gonna move on to our next topic, which is gonna be about this spring, sports in the spring. So stay tuned.